the girl never imagined that a young child would approach her. His frightening appearance made her legs go weak with fear. Fortunately, at that moment, her friend's boyfriend appeared. Just as the girl thought she was saved, she saw that the two men knew each other. She immediately felt a sense of hopelessness. But when she remembered her friend was still in the hands of the men, she had no choice but to follow them. At this point, she overheard the two men discussing how they had captured a great female and had even filmed a video and sent it out. The girl already started preparing for what pose she would have to take later. But when she heard that they were bored with females and wanted to switch to a male, she felt her entire worldview crumble. Little did she know, Takafumi and Chiaki were just studying beetles. When the girl, in tears, entered the room, she finally saw her friend. Sawi quickly grabbed Sumika, shouting for her to escape, while she stayed behind to block the two men. Meanwhile, Chiaki suddenly noticed a fish head offering, and this strange scene made everyone feel awkward. But that wasn't the most important thing. What Sumika was most worried about at the moment was whether her uncle would suddenly come through the balcony. However, Takafumi had already anticipated this and had planted flags in advance. If her uncle's secret were exposed, he would be able to access others' memories, and possibly even affect Sawi's personality. At this point, Sawi couldn't hold it in any longer. She felt like this was a cult base and decided she had to save Sumika. Coincidentally, her uncle returned home just then. Sawi mistook him for the cult leader and tremblingly protected Sumika. But her uncle didn't notice anything unusual and smiled at Sawi. Despite her fear, Sawi summoned the courage to ask her uncle to let Sumika go. Her uncle thought she was joking, but fortunately, Sumika explained everything. Though her uncle was a bit odd, he was still a good person. Sawi was curious as to why Sumika was there, and seeing Sumika hesitate, Sawi followed her gaze. Takafumi was glowing at that moment, and Sawi immediately understood Sumika's feelings. Using the excuse of wanting coffee, she sent Sumika away to test Takafumi herself. She then found Takafumi and asked if he wanted to see the photos she and Sumika took together. Takafumi perked up at this and immediately moved closer. However, Sawi was made shy by his behavior. He looked at the photo of the two girls drinking, and Takafumi was shocked. But this was exactly what Sawi had planned. If Takafumi stared at Sumika's chest, he would definitely be a jerk. But to her surprise, Takafumi enlarged the photo. Sawi was almost startled enough to scream. However, Takafumi seemed more interested in the man behind Sumika. After learning it was just a waiter, Takafumi burst into laughter. Then, they saw a photo of the two girls in swimsuits. Takafumi paused for a moment, then zoomed in on Sawi. Just as Sawi began to feel embarrassed, he suddenly asked whose legs those were in the background. Sawi was at a loss for words. Coming back to her senses, Sawi started asking Takafumi what he thought of Sumika. Takafumi mentioned that Sumika had been even more handsome as a child, but now, she hadn't changed much. He added that she probably resembled Chiaki. Thinking of Sumika's younger brother, Sawi also felt a sense of longing, as they hadn't seen each other in 2 years. At this point, Sumika walked in with coffee and pushed Chiaki toward Takafumi, trying to see if Takafumi would react to physical contact with a man. Seeing no reaction from him, she put the coffee down and pushed Sawi toward him. Both of them were startled. Even though Sawi shyly complained, Sumika didn't care at all. Seeing that Takafumi kept staring at his phone to cover up the awkwardness, Sumika finally confirmed Takafumi's sexual orientation. She then suddenly threw herself at him to test his reaction. However, to everyone's shock, Takafumi slapped himself hard. Just as everyone was stunned, her uncle walked in. He decided to show Sawi a picture of Sumika from her childhood and subconsciously used magic. Everyone froze, scared by what they saw. Takafumi quickly warned her uncle to turn off the screen, and then her uncle tried to erase their memories. Fortunately, Takafumi and Sumika stopped him in time. Her uncle grabbed them both and ran, explaining that what they had seen was just black tech. After they were safe, Sumika immediately warned her uncle not to use